and Kathy Gruber, Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Fire and Earth podcast. I am your co-host, Kathy Gruber.
And I am Jason Mefford. And today we are joined by Hallie Avolio. Okay, but we don't have to quite say it like that. Avolio. I just wanted to pull out my little quasi-Italian accent this morning, right? Yeah, anyway, my mind just went down a whole different rabbit hole. But anyway, got to come back, right? So Hallie, maybe just kind of introduce yourself to the listeners. Let us know a little bit about what you do, because today I think there's really an interesting topic that I'm going to be excited to kind of hear about on what you're kind of doing. So give us a little teaser, and then we're going to jump into it.
Okay, you got it. Well, thank you both for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm most excited that you both said my first name right, because I tell you, I think my parents wanted to put this curse on me where they wanted me to have like the most difficult to pronounce first name ever, and it gets butchered all the time. So I applaud that you got that correct. And I love the Italian accent.
Yay.
So I wear a lot of hats, but what I'm here to talk to you about today is my most recent business venture called Sassy Fit. And I help in-demand women feel empowered to regain and control and maintain their health and wellness, to step into their own power and be their own hero.
Perfect.
Heroes. Love heroes.
Yeah.
Hero. Yeah.
Well, because it's kind of funny. I mean, we've seen, especially in the movies right now, right? I mean, it's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years at least, right? The superhero movies are like the big deal, right? Mm-hmm. And what I've always loved too is kind of the, we there's a reason why we love superhero movies, right? Because we all kind of want to be the superhero. But to me, what's amazing is, ordinary people being superheroes. Because there is this power, this hero within us. We just forget that it's there. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times, right? And so I'm glad that you're helping, I think your audience is particularly women, but what we're talking about today relates both to men and women, right? Absolutely. That there is this hero within us, and how do we get it out?
Absolutely. And the thing that I really, like to speak to is you have to, get rid of that victim mentality, but B, being a hero, it doesn't mean something momentous, and you can have all the support in the world, but if you can't channel from within what it takes to do whatever it is that you want to do, to step into your power, to have control of your life, to live your best life, to follow your passions, to do what makes you feel good, to take care of your health and wellness, nobody else can help you. You have to find it from within. So you can have the support, you can have the accountability partners, but a lot of times I find that what I'm hearing is people, it's really easy to find a crutch, right? It's really say, well, I just can't do that because I can't afford to have a coach, or I can't afford to go to the gym, or I can't, I don't have time to do this because I have to take care of the other people, et cetera, et cetera. But really, if you dig deep, you can do anything that you want to do. You just have to believe that you can. And to me, that's being a hero, is stepping up and leaning in and saying, I am worth it. I am worth living my best life. I am worth taking care of myself. I am worth putting myself first. And then I will show up better for all the other people in my life. And I'm not going to have excuses and make up all this, nonsense that's going to get in my way.
Yeah. I've done so many talks where I talk about work-life balance, and there's typically a woman in the room that either raises her hand or comes up to me afterwards and says, I just feel so guilty because, I have kids, and, I can't even take 10 minutes to myself, and, I'd love to sit in the bathtub, but I can't do that because I don't have time. And I said, what are you teaching your kids? If you can't take 10 minutes to sit in the bathroom, you don't have a partner, you don't have a neighbor, you don't have somebody that can watch these kids for 10 minutes or put them in front of I'm not for putting the kids in front of the TV all the time, but for 10 minutes, you can find time for yourself, because taking time for yourself, like you said, makes you better for everybody else. And it sets an example to those kids of, you are worth it. You need to put yourself first.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and, this whole thing came about because I went through a time, I have 3 kids, and, I don't just speak to women, I don't just speak to moms, but, certainly when you have kids, it's a whole other element of of stress and demands on your time, right? So, but it applies to all facets of life. You know, it could be you have a really demanding job, for example, or you have a lot of pets, or you have a lot of volunteer responsibilities that you've taken on. So there's lots of elements. It's not just about being a parent. But it started for me was because I do have 3 kids, and I found that I was making all these excuses and distractions in my life, and I was acting out in ways that were becoming self-destructive. And I realized after, you know, putting myself into a really kind of very bad situation where I was, you know, not taking care of my health. I had gained a lot of weight. I was not sleeping. I was drinking too much. I was going out and partying. I was not putting my kids' needs first. I was not putting my family's needs first. I was just like balls to the wall, whatever, kind of, you know, not paying attention to any of that. And I realized it's because I had neglected my own needs for such a long time. And I had a million excuses, and I was like the queen victim. I was the queen victim. And then I finally was like, what am I doing? I can't do this anymore. So I had to get to like this really low place where it all kind of, you know, the shit kind of hit the fan, and it almost all blew up in my face. Fortunately, it didn't, because I was able to pull myself out of that mess and be my own hero. But it took a lot of work. It wasn't something that happened overnight. And it does take time, and it does evolve. But I still see a lot of women in particular putting themselves in that situation. Oh no, I can't do that. I just can't. I have to take care of this. I have to take care of that. Bullshit. Yes, you can. You have to choose that you want to do it.
Well, because it's getting out of that victim mentality, right?
Exactly.
And this is what's interesting too, because again, you know, it's like I'm thinking about all the superhero stuff, right? And so again, like a little analogy with it is, if you think about people, whether those are superheroes like a Superman, whatever, right? Or people that we look up to as heroes for doing something courageous, both of those people are not invincible. They have shit that they're dealing with, right? So the interesting thing is, like in the superhero world, every superhero has some weakness. So for Superman, it's kryptonite, right? And so it would be silly for Superman to say, well, kryptonite really makes me weak, and so I can't go out and try to help save the world because, you know, I'm weak because of that kryptonite, right?
Somebody might have some somewhere.
Somebody might have some somewhere, and so I'm just going to sit back on my couch and I'm going to watch TV, and I'm not going to go save the world, right?
What does Superman watch?
I don't know.
Downton Abbey, maybe?
Downton Abbey, I don't know. But it would just be ludicrous for us to think that, right? Or if you look at some of the people that we put up as heroes, they're usually normal people that do some courageous act. And what's the difference? They were scared as hell too, but they just did it. Right. Instead of saying, I'm a victim, I can't do it, I can't. They took action. They were scared. It's scary to take the action, but because they did that, they were a hero to someone else or to themselves, you know, as well, which I think, again, it's like, you know, we can sit around and bitch and moan about being a victim, or you can actually get off your ass and actually go do something. You know, take some action. That's what a hero does. They take action.
Right. And, you know, in my mind, I keep thinking when you're saying superhero, and we're talking about kind of these, you know, regular real life heroes, right, that are courageous. Sometimes you're in a situation where the adrenaline kicks in and you don't have time to think about it, right? So you don't overthink and you just do. And so the adrenaline kind of overrides the fear factor. And so if you think back on it, you're like, oh gosh, I can't believe I just did that, but you did it anyway, right? But okay, let's take that into real everyday life. You know, you don't have to be this hero as this like gigantic momentous occasion. Like you can just be your own hero by prioritizing, you know, that you exercise every day. You know, that could be a heroic move for you. Like maybe you have, you know that by exercising, it decreases your stress and you feel better. I mean, that pretty much applies to everybody. It doesn't matter what kind of exercise it is, right? But maybe it takes a lot of, you know, self-motivation for you to get up and dedicate that 30 minutes every day, taking a walk, doing weights, taking the class, whatever it is that you like to do. That could be your heroic action. But I feel a lot of times that, you know, victim is like having all these excuses getting in the way, and you just have to do it. And the other thing that I find, especially with women, and Kathy, you can probably relate to this, and you've probably heard this a lot too, it's this perfectionism. It's this complex where we feel like we have to be perfect. Why bother if we can't be perfect at everything we do? And trust me, also was the queen of victim, also was the queen of perfectionism, which I still struggle with. It's not like I have nailed it and I'm like impervious to perfectionism, but I love to say to people, just do the damn thing. Just do it. Who cares? If you mess up, if you fail, you learn in failure, you know? If you're out of your comfort zone and it's not perfect, then try again. Who cares? Are you going to die?
And there is no perfect. There is no perfect. That's the other thing. And one of my favorite, I have this, it's not really a tarot card deck. It's more this like self-discovery card deck. And it's got this image on it. And the card says, it's not a perfect circle, but it's a perfect whatever it is.
Oh, I love it.
And it's like, that's exactly what it is. And, you know, we say this all the time. There is no failure. There's only feedback. And it's interesting because as you're talking about the word victim, I'm thinking of a flip on that, because we can certainly fall into that victimhood of, oh, this happened to me, or I, you know, no. But the victim, to me, to expand that definition, it means helpless and powerless. And we're in charge of our schedule. We're in charge of our money. We're in charge of our time. And our, you know, what we choose to do with those things. It all comes down to a choice. And to me, the way to hero that is adaptability. Let's say you seriously don't have a half hour to get to the gym, because there are days where I seriously don't have a half an hour. Can I get on the floor and do crunches between meetings? Yes. Can I plank during the commercials? Yes. Can I stretch while I'm waiting to cross the street? Absolutely. So sometimes it's those moments of just different choosing that can get us out of that stuck space and get us into something else. And I think we overlook those. We forget that we are adaptable, hugely adaptable creatures. So how do you encourage someone, or tools that you use to get someone to tap into that hero-ness so that we don't stay stuck?
I mean, I think there's so many. One of, you know, the things for me that was most impactful, and I had to really, like, I struggled through this, and now it's become habit, but practicing gratitude. And that sounds maybe cliche if you're a personal development junkie like I am, but I don't think that there is enough ways that you can express gratitude. And it's something that we started doing in our family life, because even though I would feel grateful for certain things, I wasn't expressing it verbally and I wasn't putting effort into it. But I really find for, you know, for myself and for when I, you know, talk to other people about this and coach them through it, you know, expressing the gratitude is a huge way to get out of your own headspace, right? Getting out of your own way, because then you say, I am grateful for having the 1 minute to plank in between the commercials, right? Or I am grateful that I've had such a productive day that, yeah, I couldn't get to the gym, but I could find 5 minutes to do the crunches. Or I am grateful that I could have the physical touch from my partner because it just gives me the energy that I need right now. Whatever it is. And gratitude doesn't have to be, again, this ginormous thing. I think we, you know, not only do we forget that we're adaptable, but I think also we sometimes forget that the small things also count. And expressing gratitude. So for me, part of my daily practice is writing down my gratitude in my journal every morning, and 5 things that I'm grateful for in the moment. So not that I'm grateful for, like, you know, oh, I'm so grateful that the, you know, the community is peaceful. I mean, that's a great thing to be grateful for, but sometimes I'm just grateful that the laundry was folded. Literally.
And if the water comes out of the tap, and if the car starts, and if you flick a switch and light happens, which I still don't know how that works, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, we can do another episode on that if you want to talk about electricity.
How lights work? Okay, let's do that. Yeah.
There's a science to that. I don't quite get it either. But.
I just know it works, and then when it doesn't, I kind of go, huh.
Right?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
well,
anyway,
no.
Go ahead,
I was going to say, because, you know, I think a couple things that we've kind of been talking for the last couple minutes, to me, that kind of still stick out, right, is again the gratitude, like you talked about, and thinking about the small things. And here's kind of what I found is that it, you know, a lot of times we want to do the great big bold whatever. But all those great big bold whatevers usually come from kind of the small mundane little things, right? And so if we can be disciplined, right, to actually do some of those small little things, like your gratitude journaling every day, those little things end up becoming big things. And in fact, a lot of the big things were just a little thing to begin with. So, you know, as an example, right, like I don't know what was going through Rosa Parks's mind the day that she decided to sit in the front of the bus. But it could be as simple as, you know what, the poor lady was tired and she just chose to sit down. But that little thing
Mhm.
that she did was a heroic act that had a huge impact
Yep.
on the world. And sometimes, you know, again, it's like, so first off, we shouldn't being a hero doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to do these great ginormous things, but the little things you do for yourself and for those people around you are heroic, right?
Absolutely.
Not being stressful and not yelling at your kids one night is a heroic act.
Yes.
And believe me, there were some nights when my kids, you know, they're all grown and gone now, but it's like, I mean, some nights it was like, you know, and even little things like that can be an act of heroism.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Well, and also about the little things, and then I'll get back to what you were going to say. If you can master those little things, if you could do the cat box with presence and with grace and with gratitude, then you can do the big things. But we look at those big things sometimes as so challenging. It's like, let's master those little things first. Let's take 5 minutes to do the dishes as opposed to looking at the giant mess in the kitchen and going, oh my God, it's going to take me hours. Okay, do you do it a dish at a time? We have to throw in our animal reference. How do you eat an elephant? One spoonful at a time. So, you know, it is doing those little things with joy and gratitude and presence that train you to do the big things with joy and gratitude and presence.
Right. One of my favorite, you know, if I can give a shout out to one of my favorite books, is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And have you guys read The Compound Effect? If you haven't, you have to read it. It's a quick read. You will appreciate it. But what he says is exactly what you're talking about, Jason, is small, consistent actions over time equal radical results, right? I think right now in our society, and, you know, I don't even know if it's right now, it's probably always, but everybody's looking for a magic pill. Everybody's looking for this one thing, this gigantic, I'm going to do this one thing and it's just going to change it all.
Yep.
Guess what? There's no magic pill. There's no magic pill to make you more money. There's no magic pill to make you more beautiful. There's no magic pill to make you fall in love. There's no magic pill. The magic pill is within yourself, knowing that you can do it and taking the steps to be present, have grace, and change your life the way that you want to change it, and doing the small, consistent things over time to get the radical results you desire. And that's it. I gave a talk about this over the weekend on getting unstuck. And we talked about, you know, knowing your why, choosing, you know, that's important, right? Of course, you have to know why you're doing it. You have to choose what you want to do. You have to visualize it. I like to use affirmations to help realize that I can achieve my potential. I'm a huge fan of affirmations. I know that's a little woo-woo sometimes.
Oh no, we had a whole episode on affirmations.
Yeah, we go
a couple of them actually.
Damn, I will tell you. But you know, that I think is where it's at. So there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, again, it's like those aren't the sexy things.
No.
And so a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to do that. And it's like, well, you know what? That's how you get there. So if you really want to get there, you got to do these small things that have that compound effect. And eventually you will get to where you want to go. It might be a little woo. You know, some people might think it's a little woo, but I'll tell you, it works.
Yeah.
It does
work for me. It works for lots of other people that I know. And you just got to do it.
Well, and it's that shift in mindset. And, you know, our brains are constantly searching the environment for things that are wrong. We do respond to negatively balanced things faster than positive ones. It's just how we're wired. And when we get down that trail where all we're focusing on is the negative, where all we're focusing on is how we've fallen down, not how we get up, then it leads to this whole other just shit show of thoughts that keep us down. And if we can shift that mindset with affirmations, then it changes everything. It absolutely changes everything. And I was doing a radio show where I went through this list of stuff that I was doing. We're talking about me doing trapeze. And the host says, oh my God, what, do you have a death wish? And I said, no, I have
There's a net and harnesses. Come on.
I said, I have a life wish. I said, I want to be known for getting up, not for falling down, because this was right after my big trapeze accident. And I said, I don't want to be the victim. I don't want to get attention for going, my arm hurts. If I get attention for anything, I want it to be, oh my God, Kathy's back up there again. Good for her, you know, for getting up and doing that thing again, whether it's little or big. It's a shift in mindset, and we talk about affirmations all the time on the show. So yeah, you know, you walked right into that with us.
Good. Well, I think affirmations, you know, affirmations make a huge impact. In fact, I I actually made a little affirmation card deck, which is a lot of fun. And, it's just a cute little thing. But, the point being is that sometimes it just takes a small little reminder to make that shift. It's really easy to get caught up in all the noise, whether it's your own noise, your family noise, the media noise, whatever. But the other piece is that, our brains want to be comfortable. Our brains want to stay in the comfort zone because it's easy. And when you tell your brain, oh no, I'm getting back on that trapeze. Yeah, it hurt, but I'm getting back up and I'm doing it again anyway. Your brain's like, whoa, what are you doing? But you have to tell yourself, you have to say, okay, brain, too bad. We're doing this because I'm a hero. And that's what's important. So that's why I love affirmations, especially affirmation cards. Or you talked about your, what were your cards, your tarot cards that you have?
Oh yeah, the deck that has it's not they're kind of self-development sort of cards. Yeah.
But I love that, right? Because sometimes you just need that quick, like, get out of your own way, right? And just like, oh yeah, I got this. Okay. And then you can reset and go.
Yeah, because one of the things we were talking before that I wrote down, because I always take a few notes with this, is don't overthink. Yeah. And I try to tell people that all the time. And my personality is I am a thinker. I mean, that's just how I'm kind of programmed and how I've been trained academically and professionally as well, right? But the times when, when I see this in others, I see it in myself, when we try to overthink things, then we don't take action. We start slipping into that victim mindset very easy because, like you said, again, it's a 3-to-1 ratio, negative thoughts to positive thoughts in our head, because that's the amygdala trying to keep us safe. That's just the way we're wired. You can try to do some things about it, but it's just the way we're wired. And so when you get those things in, you've got to just say, screw it, I'm getting back on the trapeze. Or, I remember I was out with some friends and we went to a bar that had a mechanical bull. And they're like, you going to ride the bull? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to ride the bull.
Hell yeah.
And everybody else was like, oh, there were only about 2 or 3 of us that did it. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of was on my unofficial bucket list, but it's like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's like, I rode the bull, baby.
And you fall off into a bunch of pads.
And you fall off into,
Do you have video of this that we can?
I do have video of this, actually. I have video proof.
This might go viral. Come on, you got to.
Yeah, come on, send us the video.
Yeah, me kind of just going like this for a few minutes. I don't think so.
Sounds like our normal show.
We
just sort of
but that's the whole idea. And that's where, I try to tell myself this. I tell lots of people that I work with and coach this, but just don't overthink it. Just do it. Take action, because when you take the action, then again, you're going to get the response. And again, it's there's no hero that didn't take action.
Right. Can I share another quote that I just love? And it's totally on par with this, but everything you want is on the other side of fear.
Yep.
Boom. That's kind of it, right?
Yep.
So don't let that fear get in your way, right? Like, you didn't let that bull get in your way, and it was probably pretty damn awesome. And you probably got off feeling high as a kite. Like, that was so rad. I want to do it again. Right. So why hold back from that feeling?
Yeah, I didn't even realize for a day. I'm like, I woke up the next day and I'm like, my hand kind of hurts a little bit. What happened there? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I rode the bull. And
Okay. I've done that a couple times. It's so much fun. But with the thinking thing, it's the that overthinking, or just thinking in general, when we get lost in our thoughts, it pulls us out of the present moment. It's that anticipatory stress. It's those anticipatory thoughts of projecting into that future failure, that future negativity. Whereas we just take a breath and stay present, which is what affirmations help us do, and visualization and mindfulness and meditation, all that stuff. It's those thoughts, that ego going, no, I got to warn you about something. If we can stay out of those thoughts and identifying with those thoughts and just stay present, then we're invincible. Because it's those thoughts that create suffering. It's those thoughts that pull us to some other place. Whereas right here and now, there's no stress, everything's fine. The stress is coming from the stuff from behind us that we're dragging around, and the stuff in the future that we're freaking scared of. So stay here, tell the thoughts to shut the fuck up, and just be present.
Right. But the other side, and I just want to touch on this, Kathy, because I like that you made this point about visualization. For me, a lot of my issues that I had when I was kind of stuck in that really negative space was that I just couldn't visualize the future. And so instead of visualizing the future, I was becoming self-destructive, because I'm like, well, if I can't visualize the future, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. And that was becoming problematic. So there's a balance, right, between being present and being in the moment, but also having the audacious goals that you want to go after, and really
absolutely.
visualizing them clearly, right? So they go hand in
Yep.
hand, which I think is such an important point that you make.
Yeah.
And being able to use your mindfulness to say, okay, I'm present. This is where I'm at in this moment. And I'm clearly visualizing that I want to go here.
Mhm.
And these are the steps that I need to take, the action steps I need to take to get there. I'm not going to overthink it, but I see myself in that space. And when you see yourself there, then you're really stepping into your hero mentality.
Yes.
And you're really saying, like, I own this and I can do anything I want to do.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that you just brought up, because I know I've struggled with this, you just kind of admitted to it as well, is struggling with that visualization piece, right?
Yep.
Because, you know, I'm a visual person, but I'm also a very literal person,
Mhm.
right? And so again, like mind visualizations are sometimes harder for me because I'm expecting to see like some, you know, colorful picture just pop into my head, right? So how have you kind of worked through that or help other people to try to help make those visualizations more clear? So we are, again, excited and it's like, hell yeah, I'm going to go do that kind of a thing, to help people with that.
I think one of the key things is you have to start small. You know, back to your dish example, Kathy, you were talking about doing the dishes. So sometimes you look at the whole kitchen and it's a whole mess and you just get overwhelmed, you overthink it, and you step away because you're like shut down. You just completely shut down. You can't do it, right? But if you say to yourself, okay, no, I'm going to do one dish at a time and I'm going to give myself a pat on the back and I'm going to say, I got this. You visualize doing one dish and then the next dish and then the next dish. And pretty soon the whole kitchen is sparkling white and clean and it's scrubbed and you feel really good about it. But it's the same thing for yourself. So if you have a goal of, like, for me, I knew I had to lose 30 pounds. This was like when I was back in my really, like, had my aha moment and decided to take control of my life. In that moment, the catalyst was needing to lose weight and get healthy. It started there and then it snowballed into a lot of other things. But I knew that I had to start with, you know, eating better and exercising. So I visualized myself being 30 pounds thinner, but also I was like, okay, one day at a time. So I can visualize myself working out tomorrow. I can visualize myself eating a healthier meal tomorrow. And I really think that you have to make things simple, sustainable, and fun. That's one of the pillars that I talk about to everybody. If the actions in your life, and I don't care if it has to do with any aspect of your life, financial, professional, family, whatever, simple, sustainable, and fun. If it's not those things, forget it. You're not going to do it. And I think that's really important. So when you're visualizing, you have to start small. And then, like we said, they start small, stay consistent. That's when you're going to see those results and you're going to get to that. So your visualization has to keep evolving. Because I'm with you, Jason. Like, I would love to close my eyes and picture this like magical place and all of it.
Yeah.
I struggle with that. I mean, I'll tell you my struggles all day long. And I recently started writing down manifestations in my journal. And I'll tell you, half the time I write them down, I'm like, who is this phony baloney chick writing down this crazy shit in her journal? Like, are you kidding me? But then I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to do it anyway because I really want to manifest these things into existence. So might be some crazy shit, but I'm going to do it anyway.
And if you keep sticking to those things you know you can do, then you're never going to grow and learn. I mean, I want to try a double somersault on the trapeze. I want to do a double. Scares the shit out of me. You can really freaking hurt you. You can bash your head on the bar. You can it's really scary, but that is something that I know I want to do. Not right now, but I can visualize myself doing these harder and harder tricks. So I visualize myself not only perfecting the tricks I'm working on now, but also stretching myself and going to these other things. And it's so funny because I am such a visualizer. I can close my eyes right now and I can put myself in Stonehenge. I can visualize anything. That's how my brain works. And I like, to your point, Hallie, about, staying present, but fantasizing about that future. Because so often when we start to daydream, it goes negative. We dread that meeting with the boss on Monday. We think that date's going to go poorly. We talk ourselves out of things all the time. And it's like, well, then you might as well just call the guy and say you're not going on the date because you've just set it up to be this nightmare experience. Why would you do that? You're going to get a nightmare experience if that's what you're visualizing. Right. And when I studied with Daniel Brown, the doctor, not the writer, he was talking about not daydreaming. Mm-hmm. And my hand shot up. And I don't think he was taking questions. So, suddenly he's kind of like, yes. And I went, no daydreaming. That's how I get my best work done. What am I going to do in the shower, in the car, if I'm not daydreaming? And he said, well, no, you absolutely have to think about the future. I want you to sit down and consciously plan the future. He said, but when are you doing that? Are you doing that when you should be listening to me? Are you doing that when you're reading a book? Are you doing that when you're making love with your spouse? Are you doing that? Are you pulling yourself into a different place when you need to be present? Absolutely consciously daydream and fantasize about this most fabulous future, and write down your affirmations and spend however much time, take 1 shower a week and fantasize about this amazing future, because our body moves towards that which we know. So if that becomes so familiar to us, we're going to be more apt to move towards that goal and more apt to move towards the steps to that goal. So just want to toss that in there. And we've, once again, we've blown through our half hour. So, Jason, any thoughts?
It's like fire here.
Oh my God, and Earth.
And Earth. That's why we're going.
I'm Earth. Bring me in here. Okay, Jason, any final thoughts, and then we'll leave it with Hallie for any closing.
Yeah, so no, I just wanted to recap a little bit because again, thank you. That was actually helpful too, about kind of like the little step visualization. Right. Because again, something like, I want to lose 30 pounds. I need to lose 30 pounds right now myself. Right. And it's kind of, but visualizing the little things along the way. And so again, some stuff that just kind of popped into me that we're learning. So again, if people are listening, it's like, here's some practical stuff that you might do. Right. I mean, I purposely leave my shoes and socks. It probably drives my wife nuts, but I leave them in our library where I see them, and they're accessible in the morning. So I walk out. It's like the 2-second deal, right? If it takes you more than 2 seconds, you're probably not going to do it. So they're there. I put them on. I go for my walk. But some of the visualization, right, is like before I go to bed, I could visualize myself going for the walk in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I probably need to do a better job of is when we go out to eat, visualizing myself picking a healthier option than what I might normally want to do, right? And the more that I do that, I'm still probably going to get the burger and fries sometimes, but actually visualizing and thinking about it in some of those little smaller steps will hopefully help me to have the courage to actually be the hero for myself when it's like, what are you going to have? And I'm looking at the menu and it's like, well, okay, I'm going to pick a salad this time. And then this one actually, looks like a pretty good option because I'm going to kind of visualize myself actually doing it. It'll make it easier for me to do it when I'm physically in that space of having to decide.
I love that. And you should have that burger and fries on occasion because no such thing as deprivation. I do not believe in that.
I agree.
So,
it's a treat, not a cheat.
Yep.
Very cool. Hallie, we'll throw it back to you for closing. Any last tips for everybody, and then tell us how we can get a hold of you.
No, I just say, remember that you always have the choice. Choose to live your best damn life every day. Those are my closing thoughts for the listeners. And I wanted to just thank both of you for having me here. I would love for your audience to find me on my website, which is sassyhealthy.fit. I'm also on all social media at sassyhealthyfit. I hang out a lot on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, and LinkedIn is one of my newest places that I've been spending some time. And that actually is just under my first and last name, which is Hallie Avolio. So I would love to connect with anybody who's interested in talking more on this topic that I'm clearly very passionate about.
Yeah, and you've got a great blog and stuff that you do as well, and a great show. So yeah, we'll make sure we get everybody to your stuff. So this has been a phenomenal conversation. Of course, we've blown through the time because it's incredible. We have the best guests ever.
You guys are so awesome.
Best guests ever.
All right,
Yay!
A little heart and everything. All right, there we go. Yeah, here we go.
I'm Kathy Gruber, and I don't do this because it drives me crazy, and I can be reached at kathygruber.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you on a future episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. See ya.
Yeah.